An average of 10 pesos. Some good news for motorists there. We have details of these stories, including sports, entertainment, all coming your way. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. The details of our stories now, starting from that unfortunate development that happened 3 days ago in the western region. Only one body has been retrieved so far, leaving 16 more trapped 3 days after a Galamsey pit caved in at Prestia in Suta. Rescue efforts, we're told, are still ongoing.
Rescue team from Golden Star Resources, the Ghana National Fire Service, the police service and some illegal miners have joined forces to rescue the trapped miners, numbering about 16, after some rituals were performed, which included the pouring of libation by a fetish priest. The secretary to the Prestia Huni Valley Small Scale Miners Association, Mustafa Nuhu Mohammed, speaking to TV3 News, disclosed that only one lifeless body has so far been recovered by the team. According to reports from one of the Galamseyers who managed to escape, the pit cracked from the top and caved in, thereby covering those working in the middle of the pit, while those who were working underground managed to escape from the other exits of the pit. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Owusubio, visited the site of the incident together with some security personnel and traditional authorities and Member of Parliament for the area, Barbara Oteng-Jesi.
On the same subject, because the sector minister John Peter Amewu admitted though there have been challenges in the fight against illegal mining, the ministry is making efforts to win the fight. He added that government is determined to fight the Galamsey menace to the very end.
The recent fight on Galamsey started about 3 months ago. Together with the media, several efforts were put in to ensure a total ban on the illegal activity. The efforts included new regulations and a total ban on the mining activity. However, the recent incident where some 17 locals are reported to have been trapped in a Galamsey pit in the western region clearly indicates that the illegal activity is still going on. The minister explains the law will take charge of the other 5 who were able to escape the incident. He was, however, not happy with the result of the fight so far.
We have not succeeded yet. I still believe that there's a lot more to be done. We will only come to a conclusion when we are able to completely eradicate this illicit mining and reform the sector.
He said the Ghana Armed Forces will this week deploy its men to the site to intensify monitoring and ensure that government wins the fight.
The Ghana Armed Forces, the Navy and the police, all the other forces are, rally up, and I'm sure within this week they are going to deploy them also to the various, Galamsey sites, and they are going to stay there for a long period.
Reclamation of some land that have been degraded by Galamsey is currently ongoing in some part of the country.
We've been talking to AESL, which has prepared some documents, and we have also consulted some experts in the mercury around the Chibi area, where they are currently planting the poles to indicate the levels that the mercury content are quite high. We're not going to reclaim those areas immediately. We will leave it for some work to be done. But where the mercury contents have been determined to be acceptable for vegetation purposes, those areas will go ahead with the reclamation.
So this fight against illegal mining has been ongoing for well over 3 to 6 months now, and would want to find out from Ghanaians what they think about it, whether we are winning the fight, and then also following last Sunday's development where some 17 people were trapped with only one rescued and he was found dead. What do Ghanaians make of the fight? How can we channel our energy to ensure that we win this fight? That's what Ghanaians had to say.
The tragedy that occurred in Nsutem near Prisia in the western region has generated controversy among the public. Some people are arguing that the government should not spend the country's resources in rescuing them because they defied the ban on all forms of mining in the country, and so those who were able to escape should also be arrested and prosecuted. But what do you also think?
Look at the kind of money the government spent on stopping this kind of thing, and still people are doing it. So definitely they have to arrest those who are able to escape.
We don't have to leave them just like that. We have to show them love. And one thing about Galamsey, I don't think that it's good, but it's good. Once they also go there and hustle to get something to eat, if you can get a good job for them to do, something that will bring them income, that they won't go back to the Galamsey.
Those who left and ran away, we should arrest them. But those who were trapped in the pit, I think we should try and remove them from the pit, get them some medical care. After then, they will be prosecuted.
But I think they don't have nothing to eat, that is why. If they have something to do, that one too will not take them to that place again. So the government will do something about it. Find some little money to them, then they will start some distant business. That one will help us.
I'm a 4-year school. A degree, a diploma, unemployment situation is too high in Ghana. And one lady winning there, but I do more will be on conquer and quite say tomorrow.
And I said, now, Babinazai, about Mutan Suzokuma, sooner I've been about Alamari. Kunganako, after Gadi Tashi, I stop one Aiki Naba Shibani, in a bata Gari, Ruama the Keshma, Baya Samuro Mecho, Shaching Gari.
Oh, China Kotuma, no Subasana man, Adrian, we do a prison. It's a Slavan, so Choma, Nancy. On page you may be mom, also obey. Owe Juman, on Janitor Momona, San on Bay on Benyabi, I show Mumba only, Omu, any of Mancasomu.
Tomobu, the Omagon, by a person day, or Kiomono, in Paco, fine Kiomo. And yet there are by so the Agmabeba. I'm a Galamsey by no Crampuno. You like my day, yet me like my didi. I think I buy Naba, and Fitiasena, Aunt me a day, on 5 man and buy more beyond me, a crack, or Beba, Nina, Engabiae.
All right, so those were the views of Ghanaians on the Galamsey fight and how they think the issue surrounding the death or the rescue efforts can be channeled to save lives and at least get the people some work to do. Let's shift to yet another very debatable topic that has been in the media for the last 2 weeks. A pressure group, Coalition of Justice, Social Justice, says that it will petition the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, to investigate the sale of contaminated fuel at the bulk oil and transport company BOST. At a news conference in Accra, the group convener Samuel Jemfi said although the managing director of BOST, Alfred Obeng, had been cleared by the BNI, they will pursue the issue to its logical conclusion.
Per the issues surrounding the sale of the fuel, the coalition says Bureau of National Investigations (BNI) or a ministerial committee cannot just clear the BOST managing director. The group wants a full-scale investigation into why BOST managing director allowed Movipina Energy to haul fuel from BOST when it had neither been registered nor licensed by the National Petroleum Authority (NPA). The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, the group insists, is better placed to carry out the investigation into the controversial sale of the contaminated fuel.
SHRAJ has a constitutional mandate to investigate all alleged and suspected acts of corruption on the part of public officers. So we are saying that SHRAJ doesn't even need a formal complaint. But if it needs a formal complaint, we, the members of the Coalition of Social Justice, has taken it upon ourselves to petition SHRAJ to go into the issues.
According to the group, evidence available indicates that the BOST managing director has personal interest in the sale of the fuel to Movipina Energy.
Now, the investigations by the National Security Bureau of National Investigations and the National Petroleum Authority have all cleared the managing director of BOST, Alfred Obeng, of any wrongdoing in the sale of 5 million liters of contaminated fuel. So at a news conference yesterday, the Energy Minister, Boakye-Jakun, outlined a number of recommendations they are expecting from the committee, the 8-member committee that was set up, and then also some measures they are going to be putting in place to forestall a recurrence of contaminated fuel, and then also get to the bottom of this particular development. So let's listen to exactly what the minister said, then we'll come in studio to dissect that.
The ministry will start the implementation of the following recommendations, some of which have been pending from previous investigation reports on the sale and discharge of contaminated products. They include the following: review and introduce new regulations on the sale and discharge of contaminated products, the controlled evacuation and disposal of products under the direct supervision of the National Petroleum Authority, register and certify only corporate entities that will be designated to buy contaminated products directly from BOST. These entities will be required to go back to NPA to file reconciled records of disposal. No unlicensed company, individual, or union member can trade in contaminated products henceforth.
Minister Boakye-Jakun. Now, the issue started a few weeks ago, and then also the BOST, some institutions were calling for the BOST MD to step aside or be sacked or whatever. So he leaves the seat so investigations can be carried without any hindrance. But he has been cleared. Let's leave him out of it and look holistically at the entire drama surrounding BOST. So what did the BNI do? These are aspects of the investigations that was carried out by the BNI. Now, the product, according to BNI, contained the issue that occurred between January 2017, between that time and now. The MD for BOST assumed office in the latter part of January and cannot be held responsible for what he had to sell out, which, according to the investigation, did not occur under his tenure. As a competent MD, he interdicted the officers involved and set up a 6-member committee chaired by the head of Internal Audit Department, one Mr. Edmond Aqua, in February to find out the cause of the contamination. And it emerged that it was an accident that caused the contamination. Now, the MD has received a draft copy of the committee's report, awaiting the final report by the 7th of July 2017. That's the internal investigation that was done by a committee that the MD put together. Now, among the 15 companies that expressed interest, Movimpina's price was the highest. That we were told is 1 CD 30 pesos among all the others that put in a bid. Its initial price was 0.90 per liter, which was the highest, followed by the National Links Oil, which also quoted 0.80 per liter. BOST pushed Movimpina to pay the 130, which I mentioned earlier, which is the highest BOST has ever sold contaminated fuel for. The NPA has never licensed a single company, and that's a very debatable issue. I mean, it's also under contention why we are selling to institutions that are not licensed, to carry such content. And because they have not been licensed, the minister has asked in that voice we played for you that they are going to be reviewing who can carry contaminated fuel or sludge, as some call it. And then between 2014 and 2016, under the NDC government, BOST sold contaminated products to more than 49 companies at the full glare of the NPA officials, but no red flag was raised. Not to read political sentiments into this, but clearly there seemed to be some concern here. Why up to 49, not 1, not 5, but 49 unlicensed companies handling such content. I've been joined in studio by two guests. We're going to be dissecting this particular story into detail to see whether we have made any progress at all with regard to this debate and whether the recommendations that we are expecting from the committee can put a total stop to this. Meanwhile, TV3 has cited a letter indicating that Movimpina earlier wrote to BOST as of June 2 this year, requesting for the release of 2 million liters of contaminated oil to another unregistered company known as McWest. As to whether the oil was released or not, we do not know. And we'll be asking Duncan Amoah, he is the executive secretary of COPEC, whether or not, per his checks and research, he can categorically state that yes, that content was released and is in the public domain. That has always been the fear. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us in studio. Duncan Amoah is on my immediate right, and then also we have Kojo Nsafwa Poku. He is an energy analyst. Good afternoon once again. Let me start with you, Duncan. The letter we cited, and we actually will put it on the screen for people to see that it's an authentic letter that we intercepted. That letter said that Movimpina had requested for 2 million liters to be released to another company called McWest. Do you know whether that release was undertaken, whether that request was fulfilled?
Let me say good afternoon to you again, Martin. Good afternoon to your viewers. That letter, for all checks we did, the product didn't go, but it only raises further issues as to who really should handle hydrocarbons in the country. When you have the NPA coming out clearly to stop a transaction that BOST was undertaking because it was neither aware nor informed. If you look at the Movimpina Zoop oil arrangement, it has to take the NPA some days to become aware. What we, however, know is that if you go to BOST depots, you have NPA officials stationed there. And so it is quite alarming to hear that the NPA as an institution didn't know what was being transacted and who was behind those transactions. What is more worrying, Martin, for some of us is the spate of increases if you go through the Pong enclave, if you do the Gulf City area in and around Tema. The rate at which these illegal fuel tank yards are springing up, and the fact that most of them are putting up underground tanks. Some are as bold as Zoop Oil has been, to even put up an overhead tank, and are handling products when Regulation 11.1 of NPA indicates that you should not handle petroleum products if you don't have that authorization to do so because of the fact that...
I think that's a concern for many, that we have as much as, or as many as 49 unlicensed companies. So yes, there is a possibility that we could, every now and then have contaminated fuel. But then these companies that handle them, what can we do now? We know that we have erred in time past.
You see, Martin, the challenge and for the reason and spirit behind, Article 11 or Section 11.1 of the NPA Act is to ensure that hydrocarbons are like tomatoes. You cannot just play with hydrocarbons because they are flammable substances. The little ignition, you would get, uncontrollable fire. So one expects that before anybody gets that license or clearance to handle those products, certain minimum safety requirements are in place. And then again, when you even come to the issue of contaminated products, there is something we call procedure in petroleum handling. When a product is bad and I need to pick it from you, I need to demonstrate a clear procedure of disposal.
Okay.
And that procedure, I must come with EPA authorization that says, indeed, I have this space here. I am able to put this product here. I can burn this product safely and is environmentally.
It can be contained
within a certain environment. That procedure is what most of these unauthorized companies do not even demonstrate. So you ask,
let me bring in
how do we put these products into the hands of these players?
The recommendations made by the minister that now they are going to review the process of registering companies that should be handling these, and then also those that already have licenses would be checked before they are allowed. Do you think it brings finality to this?
Well, I think we confuse two things. Look, there is slop, which is often sold by BOST. The 49 companies in the past that people keep referring to, they did not buy a similar product to what we have now.
So they were buying
slops.
Okay.
When BOST have to clean their tanks, the residue at the bottom of the tanks is cleared. They are not sold through the gantry. There's a different method of disposing of them. That is what they sell. Where you have an accident, where you have a diesel tank, and from what we are told, 5 million liters or so of petrol mixed with diesel, it's not an everyday occurrence. Okay? So when that happens, and people come and say that, oh, but you can't compare the two. When we hear that the first time we've ever sold the highest price for contaminated fuel is 1 cedi, my heart bleeds. So it means that a product that would have sold for 3 cedis, 80 pesos, somebody can bid 50 pesos for it, and then the balance of 3 cedis, 30 pesos, who take that loss? You understand? So it's a problem. Now,
but how often do some of these problems?
I don't think the contamination, which is the mixture where somebody says the valve on the CBM wrongly and petrol mixes with diesel, it's a very common occurrence. It's not.
Okay.
Maybe products coming in and being cited as off-spec, which is where the specification does not meet our local Ghanaian specification. That one, they can add chemicals, catalysts, and stuff to it to bring it up to the spec.
Okay.
That happens. But the issue of 5 million liters sitting there contaminated is not a common occurrence. So let's put that in perspective.
Okay.
Going forward, who buys slops? MPA is saying that, look, everybody who buys anything in the downstream should be registered. My brother rightfully said, there is officers of MPA in BOST sites. When the previous administration were selling these slops off, what did MPA say? Nothing. So this committee, the very importance of this committee, is not only an indictment on management of BOST, an indictment on MPA as well.
Right.
So the committee should sit. I think it's unfortunate that BNI came up with the report they came up with yesterday to truncate the work of the committee. They should have left that space. Let there be an in-depth analysis, not only for the right or wrong of the MD or the management of BOST, but also the gray areas where people are saying that you don't need license. People say you do need. Oh, based on previous experience, somebody have not done anything wrong. Let's move away from that.
To put it succinctly, what can be done now? Fortunately for us, the contaminated content is still
in a tank.
Yes. We know where it is. We can locate it. What can be done with it since it is a one-off kind of situation?
Well, there are... Okay.
If I could help, Martin, there's one raging controversy currently. The lab reports of what was found in the premises of Zoop Oil, the 471,000 liters, and the lab report of tank 121 at BOST APD currently. There's some controversy as to whether they are the same
content.
In fact, a lot of people who have cited the reports, the two lab reports, indicate that the two are different. And so we are accounting for 471 that went out, but we may be accounting for totally different products altogether. There is every indication from an Intel report I got last night that some over 300,000 of the products actually got onto the market. That's an Intel.
But I cannot
authenticate. What we found out when we also set out the weekend to do our own checks was that some of these illegal tank yards still have BOST load, as they call it, as we speak. And they have been told. So there's a lot of, issues that
still
we all believe that the committee would have I mean, been allowed to do its work. Unfortunately, BNI jumps in and then...
I'll come back to you to give us your final thoughts on this. But we're going to Wendy Laye, who is at the offices of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, to speak with them in terms of looking at the issues of corruption that has also come out as a result of this. Wendy, what is the GII saying?
Good afternoon, Mr. Brady, and thanks for agreeing to speak to us.
Good afternoon, TV3.
First of all, what has happened now is that the MD of BOS has been cleared of any wrongdoing, like I mentioned, and also the BNI and NPA are conducting some parallel investigation into the sale of the contaminated fuel. What do you make of the process so far?
I think there are two processes. We can talk about the process of the sale, which necessitated the processes of investigation, and both processes have, from our experience, did not come as it's not as transparent as we would have desired it to be, and that is why there are a lot of backwards and forwards and various discussions going on.
What exactly do you mean when you say it's not transparent?
Let's start with the sale. We've been told that this is something that goes on frequently. Now, it is not normal for we to constantly have contaminated fuel and then we sell it off. The nation loses. So we haven't. So far, we don't know that measures are being taken to stop it. Why is it still going on? So that is there. And then we are not too aware of any advert, any publicity that went on inviting people to come and tender. You understand? So I'm sure within the industry, a few people got to know. The energy minister tells us about 40 people and went to tender. Yeah, so there is some gap there, issues of transparency with the whole marketing thing. Then fast forward into the investigation. We are aware that, or sometime in the latter part of June, the minister announced the formation of a committee. And then before the committee would start working, the minister is telling us that BNI and MPA had done some investigation. BNI and MPA were part of the committee. So why did they allow the committee to finish its work? Because you see, the problem is that let's not be in a hurry to exonerate somebody, or let's not be in a hurry to ensure that nothing is done, or if, like the minority is saying, cover up anything. I don't have evidence to support that. But for us, it is not. It's important establishing whether there has been a wrongdoing or not, as much as the various processes, the procedural defects, dealing with the procedural defects to forestall the occurrence of these contamination and the eventual loss of revenue by the state. So we would have hoped, that the minister would have allowed the committee to work. The committee is made up of eminent persons and institutions. So at least we would have gone through and at least we would have had some report, at least, that is more credible, that is more transparent, that would be accepted by all Ghanaians.
All right. Now, finally, before I let you go, what is the way forward in dealing with issues like this? Because, like you mentioned, the minister stated yesterday that this is not the first time they've been selling contaminated fuel. What do we do going forward as a country?
I love it when you say as a country, because there are just too many of these committees and these investigations that we do. But you see, the missing link is what recommendations are made to forestall the reoccurrence of the anomalies that necessitate the formation of these committees. You understand? So we are looking at if it's a institutional policy prescription that will stop these contamination once and for all, or even if we will not stop it completely, minimize it to the bare, because 5 million liters of fuel is a lot, and we are talking about a lot of revenue lost to the state. So what kind of policy prescriptions You understand? Or procedural prescriptions will emanate from an investigation that will forestall the reoccurrence of this is also important as stopping the corruption if there is any, or exonerating the persons that had been named. I think we should look at both sides. But for me, I think our various ministries, our various ministers should not be in a haste to do some of these things, but should look at the long-term impact of all the decisions that they take. The committee, I will encourage the minister, should be allowed to do some work. If they have been exonerated, the community should find out how do we stop the reoccurrence of these contaminations in future.
Thank you so much. I have been speaking to Michael Bodi. He is the Corporate Affairs Manager of Ghana Integrity Initiative, and we're looking at the Bost contaminated fuel saga. Over to you, Martin.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Wendy Lai, my colleague there. We're going straight to Parliament because we're told that the minority in the House is warning the BNI not to allow itself to be compromised following all of this. So let's go and listen to the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, who was addressing the media.
We are vehemently opposed to a 15-year bond arrangement that appears to surreptitiously extend and impose the ESLA on Ghanaians for 15 years. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, that will lead me to the third item for discussion today, which will be Wahala at Bost, corruption at Bost, gargantuan cover-up at Bost. We don't want to believe that they ran away from investigations to throw sunshine on the happening as Bost. Is a result of threats from some leading members of the MPP to expose them if they went high-handed appropriately to deal with this particular issue. We trust that they are not yielding to those partisan considerations.
All right, so we'll bring you a fuller version of that press conference in our subsequent bulletins. But I've been joined online by Evelyn Tingma, my colleague, our parliamentary correspondent, who sat through that press conference. She's joined us. Evelyn, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. What else did the minority say? I mean, really, the man has been cleared. The committee is in place to work. What else did they say? Hello, Evelyn. All right, unfortunately, the line has dropped. Evelyn, can you hear me? Okay, apologies for that, but we'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. In wrapping up, gentlemen, so what's the way forward? Is a committee necessary?
Yes, the committee is very necessary because, like I keep saying, there's a gray area which needs, and you see, anytime there is an event, committee's report becomes white paper. Government now take the report and make recommendations and now clear these gray areas, and then sometimes even on the back of this report make laws to amend existing laws. So we know that going forward the committee report is very, very important. What is also unfortunate is the political football. Okay, minority is saying that BNI should not be used. A year ago, what were we seeing in the country? So politics is not helping us. As a country, the politicians should really try and help us. As far they are not.
Martin, we believe strongly that the new focus that the minister gives the committee makes the committee not that useful anymore. At the onset, we had every conviction that it was going to probe and get answers to the questions that was bugging our minds. Unfortunately, it looks as though the committee has been redirected to now focus on how contamination comes about and how to prevent that. If those are the issues, my brother Kojo Poku alone can advise the ministry on standard operating procedures if that is what we need.
I mean, certainly, it's still an unfolding development. We'll keep an eye on it. No, at least we're waiting for the committee report. All of that. So when it comes out, we'll get to...
They should have a presidential commission into this
to do a dissection of it. I've been speaking with Duncan Amo, Executive Director of Executive Secretary of COPEC, and then also Kojon Safwa-Poku, who is an energy analyst and expert. Let's go back to Parliament and see if we can get Evelyn now. Evelyn, good afternoon if you can hear me.
Good
Right. I was asking that, I mean, we know that there's a committee in place to work. The boss MD has been cleared. What else is the minority saying?
Well, Martin, yesterday they did say that the committee has been dissolved by the BNI, and this morning they have been buttressing on that, and they are saying that they are very much worried, and because an institution is being reduced such low that stop a committee that has been set up to investigate the matter that was yet even start. So the minority is saying that BNI's action is very disrespectful, and then affronts to the rule of law. And so they are calling on Ghanaians to stand up and then make sure that things are done right, and then they are transparent. The government is transparent and then accountable to the. And this is what they said about the issue, but they also raised other issues concerning the energy sector, the 3-point oil commissioning, which is tomorrow. With regards to the energy sector, the minority notes are concerned that an announcement has been made by the NPP government to the effect that it intends to a 15-year bond to settle what it describes as outstanding in the energy sector. And so there are major deals.
All right, I think the line seemed to have tripped there. But Evelyn Timma will bring us a more comprehensive report from Parliament later in our subsequent bulletins. This is still Midday Live on TV3. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Log on to www.3news.com for more news and updates of our major stories. Join us on Facebook 3 News GH for live streaming and comments on our page. Like and follow us on Twitter at 3 News GH and at 3 Sports GH. Like our pictures on Instagram, TV3 Network. If you missed our live shows, watch a playback on YouTube, TV3 GH. TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
This Sunday,
I am very much strong. I prepare. I am 100%. I'm naturally strong. Born, I think God created me strong. And that people who manage to be in the final eliminator and they qualify, they will sink on the way.
Ghana's Strongest shows this and every Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. only on TV3.
Brought to you by Mixi Choco, Channel Hot,
Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm, Tabia Herbal Mixture and Capsules,
Day by Day Men's Sport, and supported by Onya 95.1 FM
and 3news.com.
Weekends are a bit like several hour days put into one for our sport-loving fans. Several top matches, top-level competitions, various sporting disciplines that have been spread across. It can get a bit confusing, but no more because of our new show, Warm Up. What would you do with over £200,000? You can't imagine, right? That is what your favorite footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo, earns per week. Now, let me show you this. That is one of the world's most expensive, a Cognizant CCXR Trevetta, Floyd Mayweather. He cruises into his gym with this. Now, would you like a tour to the Baby Jet Mansion? The Basilica is what it's called. Your Saturday mornings just got better. Join me, Thierry Nyan, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on TV3 and 3FM for more juicy information on your sports personalities and what they'll be doing when they're not kicking for fame and glory.
Warm Up shows every Saturday at 10 a.m. Make a date on TV3 and is brought to you by
MTN. Everywhere you go. Solak Herbal Mixture. Do you fancy your chances for GMB 2017?
do you think you are doing?
Auntie Bessie, I am getting ready for Ghana's most beautiful, so that I can one day become a queen like you. Now, do I have what it takes?
Absolutely.
Finally, the GMB auditions are here. Download forms from www.3news.com and submit a completed copy for the auditions in Tamale, Radak Hotel, Friday 7th July. In Kumasi, Golden Tulip Hotel, Monday 10th July. Ho, Stevens Hotel, Thursday 13th July. Accra, TV3, Saturday 15th and Sunday 16th July 2017. Ghana's most beautiful, straight out of Ghana.
Ghana's Most Beautiful, brought to you by Camel, now from Carex. Bond Savings and Loans, Carnival Strawberry, Madar Powdered Soap, Enapa Mackerel, Onga Tablet and Seasoning, GTP New Style, Time Herbal Mixture, Remy Spices and Royal Drinks.
Thank you very much for staying with Midday Live on TV3. So there are reports that the Etiwa forest is to be giving out for bauxite mining in a $10 billion deal with China. Some non-governmental organizations have raised concerns about this, asking that government should reconsider the forest that is being given out because it's going to lose its ecological value and then all the other related matters. One such institution or body that is calling for a review of government decision is Arusha, Ghana, and the Deputy National Director has joined us in studio, Daryl Bosu. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Martin.
To put it succinctly, the government is saying that yes, it is portions of the Etiwa forest. As a matter of fact, the senior minister himself said that it is not the forest itself and that the forest will not be affected. What is your concern here?
Yes, thank you, Martin. I think it is true the minister came out to make those statements, but also we've had very conflicting messages from the minister and also some of the communicators, technical advisors, I should say. In one breath, he says the forest is not part of the list. And then he goes on to say that even if it were to be within the range. And then again, we've heard the president, the vice president, I should say, make certain comments. And all the time, in the narratives, we hear Atiwa still in his statement. And this is where we are concerned. So we really want an assurance.
Could it be a problem of the name? For instance, if you are here, we'll say you are at TV3. If you are at the gate, we'll say you are at TV3. So it probably is a location of the forest that is not going to be affected, but then areas around it could also be called Etiwa.
But Martin, Atiwa is not such a big place. The forest itself is what is called Atiwa. Okay. The location where it is Chebi, which is the municipal capital of the East Achem District Assembly. And if you listen to the records, the mineralogy of this particular area, the bauxite is within the forest reserve. So within the forest reserve, that mountainous area, we've had sufficient evidence from the Minerals Commission and also from our own studies. And again, we also have reliable information that the narrative within the MOU currently under discussion has got Chebi and Atiwa in there. Wow. So until we really have a clear assurance from the government that Atiwa is not part of this deal, I don't think we are going to rest in asking government to completely expunge the forest reserve from its deal with the Chinese. Yes.
Thank you. Those are critical concerns you've raised. We're waiting to see how government would react to this. And then also really if the work begins, we'll see whether it will be affected. But we'll certainly be calling on you and your colleagues for more. Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director for Arusha, Ghana. And we'll have to leave it here for now. Time now, though, for business. And I've been joined by Evergreen, Ever Smiling, and Anekia Mensa Abrampa. Good afternoon.
Definitely, Martin. Good afternoon to you. Well, we're looking at the textile workers up in arms against the Ministry of Trade. So let's just go for the detail now on business.
The business segment is brought to you by
Well, thanks for staying with us on Midday Live. My name is Nanikia Mensah. Starting with this afternoon, textile workers have indicated their intention to picket if government does not stop the influx of imported textiles this week. Now, the Trade Ministry had earlier promised a June 30 deadline to come out with guidelines to regulate the importation of textiles into the country.
The Trades Ministry had on many occasions intervened to stop the traders from demonstrating, with a promise to implement guidelines that will regulate the importation of textiles into the country. The dealers said the unbridled importation of textiles into the country was doing great harm to the local textile industry. And since imported textiles were cheap, they sold faster, thereby throwing most of the textile dealers out of business. But government is yet to fulfill its promise despite a June 30 deadline, which expires Friday. The workers say government has not shown enough commitment to fighting the piracy of textiles. General Secretary of the Federation of Labour, Abraham Kumsin, told TV3 Business they will go ahead to picket if nothing happens.
The assurance was that the policy was going to come out to regulate these textile trading and all that, so that our industry could also enjoy fair competition and all that. So if they don't do it and nothing, comes out by tomorrow, then we're going to go out next week to just raise the issues for the general public and the presidency to also know what is going on at the ministry.
In more news, the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations has directed its auditors to pursue and collect from those who have misappropriated funds of the ministry. Deputy Sector Minister Bright Kweku Brobe, who gave the directive at a swearing-in of an internal audit committee, said those caught will be prosecuted.
The committee is charged with advising the Sector Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafuera, on how funds have been used. It's again mandated to supervise every financial transaction of the ministry and to provide appropriate opinions of them. They are also to understand the Public Financial Management Act, which prevents civil servants from engaging in misappropriations. Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Kweku Brobe, entreated the committee to be circumspect.
To ensure maximum exercise of prudence in the application of the country's resources and the taxpayers' money, also to ensure accountability.
Acting Director General of Internal Audit Agency, Rasford J, charged members of the committee to be transparent in their dealings.
Annual statement shall be required, and that statement will indicate the remedial action taken or proposed to be taken to avoid or minimize it even from the external audit report.
We have more business on News 369. That will do. My name is Nanikia Mensah. We have sports now with Yalfa Sulabi. Good afternoon.
Segment is brought to you by
This is still Midday Live. It's time now to do sports. My name is Yalfa Sulabi, and on to our first story now. Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah has lamented on the poor travelling arrangements made for the Black Stars ahead of the game against the United States of America, insisting it thwarted the training schedule of the team. He revealed that the team failed to train for 2 days ahead of the clash with the Yanks because they did not arrive in Connecticut as a team.
The traveling arrangements was poorly arranged in the sense that, under normal circumstances, when you play a game, you're supposed to, have a recovery training, which is the next day. But the best thing could have been that we either train in the morning and we all leave in the afternoon, or we leave in the morning and train in the afternoon. But that was not done. Players had to travel on different flights, and some even got there the following day, and I think it's not the best way forward. And looking forward, I had a meeting, with the management that this should never ever happen again. And it's important that we make sure it's a team, and team should not be separated. where they're going, whatever they're doing, they all need to be in a group. So we had a promise from the management that this was never going to happen again. And it actually had a big effect because we could not train on Thursday. And on Friday, we had to, stay in the dressing room for hours due to rain. And, it wasn't good experience, but the bottom line is we just need to learn from our mistakes and make sure we don't do the same thing again.
To some more news now, and manager of under-17 star Eric Eya has denied reports of the sensational striker joining Portuguese giants FC Porto. Now, there were speculations earlier this morning of a potential move to Portugal for the Starlets captain, but those rumors have been rubbished. Eya made a name for himself after an impressive display at the Africa Youth Championship, where he helped Ghana to a silver medal. Samuel Ofosuamo told TV3 Sports exclusively that Eya is currently with the team in Pram as they prepare for the under-17 World Cup in India later this year. He further noted that their main focus is the World Cup, even though a lot of European clubs have expressed interest in the promising marksman. To some more news now, and Lionel Messi has agreed a new contract at Barcelona, tying him to the club until 2021. The forward's previous deal was due to expire in 2018 with a 3-year extension, ensuring he is contracted at the Camp Nou for at least the next 4 years. Now, formal signing of the contract is expected to take place after the Argentina international, currently on honeymoon after his wedding to Antonella Roccuzzo, has returned for pre-season training. Messi, who turned 30 last month, has spent his entire senior career with Barcelona and made his debut in 2004. In an astonishing career, he has won the La Liga 8 times and the Champions League on 4 occasions, among a total of 21 club trophies. He has scored a record 507 goals for Barcelona and netted 54 times in 52 appearances last season. To some tennis news now, and Roger Federer believes his decision to skip the clay court season will pay rich dividends when it gets to crunch time in his bid for a record 8th Wimbledon title. The 35-year-old knew he had a much better chance of winning Wimbledon, a trophy he has lifted 7 times, but admits he opted to miss the French Open and the tournaments leading up to the one in London, so he would stay fresh for the All England club.
Well, I think it was more a decision based on health. Looking forward to still a tough and grueling year. You know, I'm not 22 anymore where I can just play every tournament I see and just go Pac-Man and just go yum, yum, yum and just eat everything. I have to, you know, be smart about my scheduling, and I felt like my best chance to do well here at Wimbledon was to not play Paris. It was a tough decision. It was the first time in my life, actually, I pulled out of a major. Feeling 100% ready to go. It's the first time in basically 18 years I had 6 months to myself, with my family, with my wife, and I could dictate where I wanted to be at what time and when to do what, and that is supposed to be nice and refreshing, and I think it showed on the tennis court ever since.
So that's Roger Federer there. But in Wimbledon this afternoon, there's Kevin Anderson and Andreas Seppi at 1 p.m. You might want to catch that one. That's all for sports. My name is Yao Fosulabi. Over to you, Martin.
Thanks a lot, Yao Fosulabi with the sports. Let's go to that headline story we are bringing to you. And fuel prices at the local pumps has gone down by 2%, which translates to an average of 10 pesos. The reduction is partly attributed to a fairly stable cedi against the major trading currencies.
Executive Secretary of Chamber for Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, indicated a fairly stable prices of crude oil on the world market, and the appreciation of the cedi accounted for the 2% reduction.
The cedi has begun making some gains over the past 1 week. If you look at world market trends, gasoline has dropped from the 5,228 to currently trade somewhere 518 thereabout. So clearly there are some gains that we should get as consumers in Ghana from the OMCs.
Principal Research Analyst of the Petroleum Unit of the Institute for Energy Security, Gilbert Richmond Roxon, was expecting some 4% reduction in fuel prices.
From all indicators, prices are supposed to go down because prices on the world market continue to go down.
The second pricing window commences on July 16.
News for motorists there. And time now for entertainment news.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
In entertainment news this afternoon, organizers of Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant say this year's edition will focus on entrepreneurship projects. The contest, which has been running for the past 10 years on cultural significance to economic development, will promote start-up businesses through cultural heritage. Here's a report by Ajua Amofa Osei.
The 11th edition of Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant will focus on bridging the unemployment gap through the use of culture and diversity. After 10 years educating and entertaining Ghanaians on the values of culture and traditional heritage, organizers of the pageant say the 2017 edition will seek to empower women to be their own bosses by starting their own businesses.
We have spoken 10 years about cultures that we want abolished, and so we can't keep saying the same thing. And so we want to go now to the positive side. We want to go now to the educational side.
Brands executive of the event, Prince Dake, says the twist has become necessary to make contestants and winners have more impact on society. The pageant will also be opened to Ghanaians living in the diaspora by way of a special audition which will be held online. Explaining the motive behind the new tagline, Straight Outta Ghana, he said it was a way of making the pageant more youthful and exciting. The 2017 auditions of Ghana's Most Beautiful will start on Friday, July 7 in Tamale. Stay tuned to TV3 for the details.
Time now for international news.
Spanish Coast Guard say some 50 migrants are feared to have drowned in waters off the coast of Morocco. Media reports say rescue services managed to retrieve 3 exhausted and disoriented men from a half-sunk rubber dinghy near Spain's Alboran island. The boat was originally carrying many more people. The Coast Guard spokeswoman said rescuers were still surveying the water where the boat was found. Russia and China are suggesting that Pyongyang declares a moratorium on nuclear and missile tests while the United States and South Korea refrain from large-scale military exercises. The Russian and Chinese foreign ministries made the recommendation in a joint statement after talks between President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping and another North Korean missile test. Moscow and Beijing called Tuesday's test unacceptable.
So that will be it for the bulletin. It came your way from our studio here at Adisanwe. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. There is more news on our website, 3news.com. You have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Bye for now.